It's Drew here, alcoholic, addict, substance use disorder, whichever word you want to pick. I abused every drug that I pretty much ever tried, including alcohol. And today I want to talk a little bit about Suboxone. Yes, that stuff that you hear about, that everyone talks about, that says you're not sober. You know, it's one of the most controversial things, medications at least, I think, in addiction recovery today. And whoever you ask is going to have varying opinions pretty much. There's many people that say, oh, if you're taking it, you're not sober. Then you got the other side, people that are like, dude, this stuff saved my life. But I was on it for years. I just wanted to come on here, make a little video, talk about my experience a little bit. Of course, if anything I say has friction with your psychiatrist's ongoing treatment or your doctor's ongoing treatment or your nurse practitioner's ongoing treatment, listen to them. They are the expert. Sometimes it helps to just hear someone else's experience of what taking that medication was like. I was on it for years. I don't think I would be alive today had I not had the time that I was on Suboxone, because I got on it when I needed it. Like looking back, I get that stuff. It gave me a shot at making it through a lot of those hard times. And I eventually got off, but I just want to make a video because I think sometimes it helps to hear from someone's firsthand experience. The doctors can give you great treatment plans. They could tell you everything that's going on physiologically when you take that stuff and the chemicals that it's derived from or made from or whatever. But sometimes it helps to just hear what it was like for someone that was on it. Now, I first got on it when I was 18 years old, and I would say this, if you're someone who's looking at getting onto it, it shouldn't be your first choice, I don't think. Like, it was my first choice early on when I was running into problems, and I really wish, looking back, that I probably tried some other stuff first to see if maybe some other stuff would work before getting on the medication. But because it comes with responsibility. Taking this medication, you have to take it seriously. You really want to make sure that you're somewhat organized with time management, and you make sure you make your appointment each month, and you don't forget, because I was young and I would make the appointment, I'd forget about it, and then all of a sudden I'd realize I was past the date and I was starting to run out of the medication. I'd be calling the doctor's office, and of course they're not answering, or I'd wait till the very second I was about to be out, and I'd go into the pharmacy and they'd tell me, oh, sorry about your luck, bud, we're out. But, oh, don't worry, let's order it for you. It'll be here in about a week. A week? What am I going to do? See, I caused a lot of problems for myself by having poor management of my appointments and stuff. And another thing that I did early on when I was on that stuff is I wasn't quite ready to get sober yet. So instead of taking this medication to help with cravings and help deal with the triggers and help me feel somewhat balanced to where I could then go out and start participating in other things and building a foundation of recovery and building everyday things that I could do to feel a little bit healthier and exercising, instead of using it as a tool to build a recovery life around me, I kind of used it as a crutch. So I'd be working, I'd be making money, and I'm spending most of my money on drugs, and I'm using, and then I have the Suboxone in my back pocket for when I'm down and out, and I would take that. And of course, I got switched over to Subutex, which didn't have the naloxone in it, which is the opiate blocker. So it allowed me to just transition from using to taking the Subutex to back to using without any worries. And I essentially what I did is I used it as a means to continue on my using. So essentially what it did is I got prescribed it to try and help me with the using, and all it really did is it was feeding my cycle. So I would suggest, if you're not ready to get sober, I just hope that anyone out there doesn't make the same mistake I did, because I could have taken full advantage of this medication to really grow and change and change my lifestyle, but I didn't. I used it to continue the cycle, and I abused it. But I want to say this: some of the things you're going to run into, people that don't agree with MAT treatment. You will, especially if you're in the recovery spaces, if you're in 12-step meetings talking about this medication or whatever, you are going to run into people that say you're not sober, that people that are very anti-mat. I just want to tell you that, just so you know. Like, it may not be something that you want to just run around telling everyone, because if you feel in your heart of hearts that you are honestly doing the best thing for you right now and that you absolutely need it, and you've tried other methods and it hasn't been working, other people just may not agree. So maybe you keep that between you and your doctor. I don't know. That's really your call. You will run into some issues at the pharmacy. I noticed that, I don't know, people would kind of just look at me weird, and it was like, oh, you're getting Suboxone, but at the time I didn't care, because, eventually as time went on and I was using it correctly, it started to really help me. Now, one thing I've noticed is that sometimes people run into a wall with this stuff. They start taking it, their cravings go down, they have energy, they start feeling balanced, they start looking a little bit better physically, they have some motivation to stay sober, and things go good for a while. And I've noticed that sometimes people will hit a wall. I don't know if it's 9 months in, I don't know if it's a year in, I don't know if it's 3 years in. It seems to be different for everyone, but when you hit that wall, sometimes you just feel like, oh, you know what? I think I want to get off this stuff. And I've heard so many stories, and I did this as well. And people decide, look, I want to get off this stuff. And they make the decision pretty quick. It's like a snap in the brain, and boom, I want to get off this stuff. And what happens is people want to get off it way too quickly. Way too quickly. They make that decision, and they're like, that's it, I'm just going to stop taking this stuff. Now, I remember at one point in my journey, I think I was at 8 milligrams, maybe 12 milligrams, and I tried to just cold turkey it. I'm like, look, I want to get off this stuff. People are giving me shit about being on it. It's annoying. Sometimes the pharmacy doesn't have it, and I'm like waiting. I don't have any. I'm just going to get off of it. Ooh. I remember going like 5-6 days without it. Hadn't slept. I had the worst, like, hot, cold chills. I had restless leg. I could barely put food down. Absolute worst, fatigue, lower back pain. But the worst thing of all for me was the anxiety. The anxiety was through the roof. And I remember my body just saying, like, dude, get me well, please get me well. And I think what happened that time was I ended up just returning to using, but I bring this up because if you're someone who's trying to get off of it too fast and you've hit that wall and you feel like you're done and you're like, that's it, I'm just going to stop taking that stuff, I would urge you to rethink that. Getting off of it, it needs to be a slow process, at least for me. I found some people are like, oh, I want to get off it as soon as possible, just stop taking it. I would say rethink that maybe. Go a little bit slower. Go a milligram at a time until you get to 4 milligrams. And then if you're taking the pills, switch over to the strips and start cutting, because the strips are better to really milligram control and know exactly how much you're taking each day. And when you get down to 4 milligrams, ask your doctor, but I would advise start slowing it down, 0.5 milligram, and do that and put at least a gap of maybe 2 weeks, 11 to 2-3 weeks, 11 to 21 days between each drop. And don't continue to drop until you feel content at the level you just dropped down to. Like, it's going to be a long, long process, but it'll be worth it. They also have, I know they have the shots now where you get it once a month, and it's a slow release buprenorphine, and I've heard that that's a lot easier to get off of. I would look into that too. That's a newer invention. They didn't have that years ago when I was taking Suboxone. A lot of the doctors didn't even understand what Suboxone was when I was taking it, and it was crazy expensive. I remember having to pay like $500, $600, $700 for my prescription at the time. I didn't have insurance, and I'd pay a couple $100 to see the doctor, and then the pharmacy would just charge me a crazy amount. I think it's gotten a lot better now. I think it's covered by even Medi-Cal in most situations, and it's not insanely outrageous priced like it used to be. But yeah, just don't go too fast getting off of it. And I'll say this though, I think it's an amazing tool for someone that has tried other stuff. Like when people say like, oh, you're not sober, it's like, a lot of the people that end up getting on Suboxone, the people that really, really need it, it'll help you, man. But my advice would be, don't use it like I did, make the mistake I did, where all you're doing is taking Suboxone. Like you're like, this is it. This is my recovery program. All I have to do is take this pill in the morning and it's going to make everything great. It's like, no, use it as a tool to really allow you to start implementing other things into your life. They're going to help you sustain and stay sober long term, to where you're not just relying on the medication. Like, use it as an opportunity to build all these other things in your life, so that if the day comes when you want to get off it, and you want to get off it slowly, you have all these other things that are going to allow you to remain sober. You've got the community, you've got your everyday routine, you've got your kind of mental health routine, things that you do, exercise, going on runs, going on walks, going in nature. You have all these other things that are going to allow you to feel good and feel all right mentally when you do get off of this stuff. But I don't know. It's something that I think it'll always be controversial. I think there'll always be people that are for it, people that are against it. I know the people that are against it say stuff like, oh, well, I took Suboxone once and it got me insanely high. And then you ask them, well, were you someone who did opiates? Oh, well, no, but I took Suboxone once and I got high. It's like, well, yeah, the people that Suboxone is actually designed for aren't going to be getting super high. They're just not. The people that haven't been abusing opiates, yes, you take a Suboxone, you're going to get sick, you may get nauseous, you may throw up, you may feel high. But the people that it's actually designed for, the people that have been out there abusing the opiates, they're not going to feel high like that. And here's kind of, I'll finish off on this. This is just kind of my viewpoint on this. I had a lot of friends, a lot of people that I met in rehabs, a lot of other IV opiate users like myself that they didn't want to take Suboxone because of all the shit that they would get when they were on it, right? And so they were scared to take it. And these people had tried everything. They had tried 12-step stuff. They had tried going to church. They had rebuilt their life in so many different ways, and they were just struggling. And these were people that were far down the spectrum of substance use disorder. Like, I'm talking IV, heroin, every day, multiple overdoses, just walking that very thin line between life and death. And they were kind of pushed away from Suboxone because of how other people felt about it. And they wouldn't utilize that help. And they're not here today. They didn't make it. And so with that kind of changed my perspective, because it's like, I agree, it's not for everyone. It shouldn't be the first choice. It comes with responsibilities. You got to make sure you always have it. You got to make sure maybe you have a little bit extra in reserve. That's another pointer I would give, is make sure you have a few extra in reserve, however you need to do that, just in case, so that you don't run into this nightmare when they can't fill it and you need your meds and you're used to taking it every day, and it's been a good tool for you. Always have a little bit extra. But I hate to see people that are the worst of the worst on the spectrum of substance use disorder, that have tried everything out there to try and remain sober. I hate to see them pushed away from taking a medication that is designed for exactly what they are suffering from. I hate to see them pushed away. I would rather have someone alive, relying on a medication every day, with the opportunity to build their life in recovery, and eventually, if they want to, slowly get off and continue to remain sober. I'd rather have them have that option than to just be out there suffering, overdosing left and right, getting Narcan left and right. Like, we don't want to lose people. We don't. And I think that sometimes we treat the people that are the worst of the worst and suffering the most like shit by giving them a hard time about taking a medication, and then we lose them. Like, it's not, I don't think it's worth it to give people a hard time if they're not completely abstinent, and they end up dying from it, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes any sense. That's just my kind of 2 cents on it. I try and give you all of my perspectives so that you get an idea of what this medication will be like. I think it can be a great tool for you, but I also think that it could be heavily abused. And you may run into periods of time where you just feel like, man, like I have to rely on this medication so much, and getting off of it is tough, because it is. I just want to be completely upfront with you. Getting off of this stuff is hard. That's why I think it's a big decision. If you're someone watching this who's thinking about taking it, really weigh it out. Have you tried everything else? Do you feel like this is something that is actually going to help you? And if you do feel like it's going to help you, are you willing to accept the fact that you're gonna have to rely on taking it each day? Are you going to accept the responsibility of making sure you have those appointments and making sure you always have it? Because if you're willing to accept that, I think it can be a great tool. But thank you to anyone who listened to this. I just kind of wanted to come on here and talk to you guys a little bit. I was on this stuff for years. It was tough getting off of, but I think it helped me get to where I am today, and I think it's with medication advances today and stuff like that. It's definitely an option that is out there for people, and I think you want to find a good doctor or a good psychiatrist that really cares. I ran into a lot that were like, oh yeah, just prescribe me, talk to me for like 2 seconds, send me out the door. You could tell it was really like a numbers thing. But I also eventually ran into a psychiatrist that really cared, and they were testing me each month, and they're really making sure that my mental health was good. I think that's another thing to look for as well, is find someone legit, man. Find someone legit. Of course, we all like to go to the easy, prescription writer and not going to bother us. But if you're serious about staying sober and stuff, it helps to find someone who really cares and is going to be there for you and is going to really looks at it as an opportunity to help you reach the success that you're looking for. So be safe out there, guys. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. I got a bunch of other videos with guests talking about recovery, addiction stuff, and I'd love to have you guys check some of that out. Have a good one.